Hi, I'm Amelia and welcome to my channel, So Amelia, where I talk all about making a handmade wardrobe for me and my children. Welcome to this week's video, which is all about the things that I made in February. Welcome back to my channel. If you are a subscriber, it's so great to have you back here again this week as I share my February makes. If you are not yet a subscriber and you enjoy the video today, it would mean so much to me if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you will be made aware of when I publish future videos. I would love to have you here as one of my regular viewers. So I do often start with what I'm wearing, but I will share this later on in today's video as this is one of the things that I ended up sewing in February. The first thing I want to share with you today is my Hug hoodie, and this is a pattern that I have made before. It's by Madeit Patterns. Now, unfortunately, the sizing is a little limited in this pattern. It comes in a UK size 6 to 20, but it does also come in children's sizes and teenage sizes, so you could make these for the whole family if you were so inclined. I made this one in a gorgeous pink leopard sweatshirting that I bought from Dalston Mill Fabrics. Now, the instructions do call for a fabric with at least 20% stretch. Now, this one is actually quite stretchy, and the inside is the most beautiful, soft, fleecy sweatshirting. So this is one that I have been wearing in the evenings when I come home from the school run and I have been rained on. And I end up snuggling up in this with some tracksuit bottoms, and it's just so lovely and warm. The Hug hoodie has a beautiful line across the front, this sort of interesting cross shape at the front. So I thought I would just try lengthening it by an inch from the lengthen and shorten lines, because the original version I made in navy blue was cropped, and that's fine. I really like the fit of that one, but I thought I would just experiment and see how I felt about it being slightly longer. I'm really happy with this particular one because this is something for me to wear when I'm lounging around the house. I like it being slightly longer, it gives me more coverage, therefore it's better for snuggling and lounging, which is its purpose. However, I do really like the length of the original Hug hoodie, and if I were to make it again in a jumper version that I'm going to wear outside the house, I would make it in the original cropped length, as that does suit me. I'm not tall, I'm just under 5'5", and my torso is on the short side. So actually the cropped length of the original version suits me really nicely. I love the sleeve shaping on this one with the raglan sleeves. It's a really lovely one to sew. It comes together really quickly, but these style lines just make it a bit different from other sweaters that I've made, and I really enjoy wearing this one. I am going to see if I can get another one of these sewn up in March before the cold weather warms up and we get into spring, because I am finding myself reaching for these Hug hoodies on a daily basis. So that was my first make in March, was this Hug hoodie from this sweatshirting from Dalston Mill Fabrics. The second thing I made in March was actually a tester for Forget-Me-Not Patterns, and it is their new release, the Valerie dress. Now, when Joe reached out to me and asked if I would like to test this pattern, I could not resist. It is a beautiful dress pattern. I love the raglan sleeves and the little flounce on the end of these sleeves. I really like the darts in this front bodice and these beautiful pockets in the skirt. I just think there's such lovely details on this dress. Slightly hard to see in the print that I chose, but I'll put some photos in and hopefully you can see them in the photographs. In the new release of this pattern, it does have extended sizing. So it now goes from size 28 through to size 52. There are 4 sleeve options. You've got the short sleeve, the sleeve with the flounce, there is a 3/4 length sleeve, and then there is a long sleeve with a cuff. Fantastically, there are also 3 options for the bodice. There is a small bust, a medium bust, and a full bust option, so that is brilliant. Now, I've mentioned before on my channel, I have a bust of 36 inches, a waist of 30 inches, and hips of between 41 and 42 inches. So I often find I have to grade down for my bust, as it is significantly smaller than my measurements for my waist and hip. So for this Valerie pattern, what I decided to do was to make a straight size 36, but with the small bust bodice. That fit my measurements exactly, both for the given measurements and the finished measurements. It looked like it would be the perfect fit. In fact, I was worried it might be a little on the small side, because really I am a BC cup, which would have fitted into the medium bust measurements. But looking at the garment measurements for the size 36 with the small bust option, that was in fact a 36-inch bust, which fits my measurements exactly, with a 30-inch waist and then a 40-inch hip with the measurements for the size 36. But because it is an A-line skirt, I wasn't so worried about the hip measurements, as I knew there'd be a little bit more ease in that A-line skirt, and I was more concerned about the fit around the waist and the bust. Now, in fact, when I sewed this up and tried it on, I found that the bodice was actually a little on the big side. There was a little bit of gaping around here underneath my arms, and actually the shoulders weren't quite sitting in the right place. So all that I did was I put the dress on inside out, and I just pinched a bit of the excess under the arms and from the side seams on one side, took that off, measured it out, graded it with my French curve, mimicked those measurements on the other side of the bodice, and I simply sewed that a little bit smaller. Now, when I looked at the original pattern pieces, that made it more like the size 34 on the bust, then grading to the 36 at the waist. So all of that to say, when I make this pattern again, I will make the size 34 in the small bust option, grading to the size 36 at the waist. I don't think I've ever been a size 34 before, and I was worried that the 36 would be a bit on the small side, so it just goes to show. I think if I had had time to twirl this one, I probably would have done that, and then I would have known for the version with the Rifle Paper Company cotton. But fortunately, I made it in such a way that I knew I could try it on and amend the fit as I needed to. I am so happy with the finished garment. I absolutely love this dress. I cannot wait for it to be warm enough for me to wear this one. Now, I made it in a Rifle Paper cotton that I bought from Sew Me Sunshine. It's from their most recent collection, which I believe is called the Camont collection, and this was called Wildflower Meadow, and it's in the light blue colourway. Unfortunately, Sew Me Sunshine has sold out of this colourway, but it is available, I think, in a creamy colour and in a navy blue colourway, so do go and have a look if you like this fabric. I think it's so perfect for spring. The only other thing I might do next time when I sew the Valerie dress is make it slightly longer. I don't mind a shorter skirt, and this one does feel comfortable, but I think I'd feel even more comfortable if I had just a little bit more length. So I might extend the skirt length next time by an inch or two, but if you are considering making this and you are above 5'5", you might like to extend the length of the skirt or to add a ruffle, which is the other thing I might do next time. So that was my second make for February, this beautiful Valerie dress by Forget Me Not Patterns in a Rifle Paper Company cotton. Now, if you watch my vlogs regularly, you will know that I quite like publishing a week in my life vlog every month, and this month you will have seen that I was working on my Steele Pinafore by Elbe Textiles. This is a great pattern. It has a fantastic size range from A to N, which is a bust of 29 inches to a bust measurement of 55 inches, and there are two different options. There is a gathered skirt or a flat fronted skirt. So I made mine in this enzyme washed linen, again from Sew Me Sunshine, and I lined it in this gorgeous poplin that I bought a long time ago, and this is a Pigeon Wishes fabric. I used it to make a pair of pyjamas, and it's just such a lovely cotton poplin that I used the leftovers to line several garments now, but I have now run out of this fabric, so you won't be seeing it featuring again as a lining in any more garments, sadly. I really enjoyed the style lines of this, which is what made me want to make it in the first place. The bodice has these beautiful style lines grading out this way, which just gives beautiful shaping across the bust. And then you can see I chose the gathered skirt option, which gathers here into the bodice. And then there are lovely deep pockets, which is always important. Now, the pinafore itself is finished here at the side seams using buttons and button loop closures. Now, I was worried initially about the gaping down here, so what I did do was I added these two extra button loops. You can see from the picture that I have 4 buttons instead of the recommended 2 buttons. Now, there are options in the pattern. She does give you instructions on how and when to add those extra 2 button loops if you would like to put 4 in rather than 2. So that was great, because then I added them at the right step. But I was still worried about the potential for gaping here, especially because that just sits just below my hip, and I didn't really want to be exposing that part of myself. So what I did do was I added in a fly facing almost behind these buttons here. I extended the back bodice piece by an inch, and then that just gives me plenty of coverage. So even if this does gape open, there's that fly behind it, so you're not going to see anything exposed at all. Now, on the original version of this pinafore, these straps tie into the back here through buttonholes. Now, my lifestyle, I'm a busy mum of 3, I cycle my kids to school, I'm busy with the toddler at home, up and down off the floor, doing all of those things that we do on a regular basis with children around, and I just didn't think that the tie was going to stand up to just that much busyness and things. I feared that it would come undone, or my toddler would pull it undone when we're playing on the floor, and I didn't want to be trying to fiddle around behind my back trying to retie the bow. So what I decided to do was simply to sew those straps into the back bodice at the appropriate point when I was making the pattern. All that I did actually was just put the bodice on, measured where I wanted it to sit, pinned it in place, basted the straps into place, obviously tried it on again to just check it was sitting where I wanted it to sit, and then sewed those into place. And I'm really pleased with that finish. I prefer it sitting flat across my back, both for ease of wear, but also I don't like things pressing against my back if I'm sitting in the car or relaxing on the couch in the evening, so I do prefer this finish, and that was really easy to do. So if you're someone who would like to make this pinafore and would like to amend the straps this way, it was really easy to do. You just have to make sure that you don't get the straps twisted when you're sewing them into place on the back bodice. Now, when I tried this on in my weekend sewing video, I did mention that I wasn't 100% sure about these gathers in the front. There is a bit of poofiness about this dress. It is meant to be an oversized pinafore, and I think this is gorgeous. I do love it. I've worn it a few times since I made it, and I am enjoying wearing it. It's perfect for a thick jumper in these cooler months, and actually I think it will be fine in the summer too with like a light t-shirt on a really hot day, because there's just enough room in there to keep cool. If I were to make this one again though, I would really like to try the other style of skirt, which has a simple straight front, just to see if then it just gives a slightly smoother look to the pinafore. All that to say, I really enjoyed the process of making this. All of these makes actually this month, I've really enjoyed the process. They've all had really interesting features which have just made them a delight to sew, just different from what I've made before, and it was really nice to just take my time and enjoy the process and the learning that came with all of these garments this month. This one particularly, trying to work out how to put in that fly facing so that there was that extra coverage. It was a bit of a challenge, but I did enjoy that this month. It was lots of fun to play around with that and to get a garment that I'm really happy with and that I know I'll get wear out of. Now the next garment that I'll mention is what I'm wearing today. Now this fabric again is from Sew Me Sunshine. When I was buying the enzyme washed linen, this I saw in the remnants section and I just thought it was such a beautiful colour. I needed to get it. It's a cotton dobby and it's sort of a rosy pink colour. The reason I bought it is actually I thought it would work really well with the navy of the enzyme washed linen that I bought. So the idea was that I could wear these two together, and I think that I will in the summertime or perhaps even in the springtime, as I think those colours are just gorgeous together. So I'm sure you'll all know the Anna Allen Anthea blouse. It's been so popular in the sewing community over the last year, and I decided I just needed to jump on that bandwagon. I saw two beautiful versions by Gemma Daly, who is the Daily Thread over on Instagram, and by Liz, who is the baker that sews, and I just fell in love with the pattern and I knew that I needed an Anthea blouse in my life. Unfortunately, the size range on the Anthea blouse isn't brilliant. It is a size 00 to a size 22, which is a bust of 31 inches up to a bust of 48 inches. However, there is a lot of ease in this pattern, so do go and look at the garment measurements if you're at the top end of that size range and you're interested in making it, as I found that there was so much extra ease in the measurements. In fact, I actually sized down a couple of sizes when I made this blouse. So my measurements put me in a size 8 for my bust, a size 10 for my waist, and a size 12 for my hips. Now on this occasion I wasn't so worried about my hip measurement as I wasn't making the Anthea dress. It does come as a dress as well as a blouse. But I did check the finished garment measurements because I wasn't sure whether to make a size 8 for my bust measurement or a size 10 so that it would fit my waist. So I actually ended up going down and making a size 2. Now I am not a size 2, I have never been a size 2, but I know my preference is not to have anything that is overly blousy. This is a blousy look. I like that. I wanted something I could tuck into trousers, my high-waisted skirts, and wear with my pinafores, but I didn't want it to be so oversized that I felt I was swimming in it. I really like the fit of this on me. The sleeves fit really nicely. There's plenty of room here in the cuff, and I feel like it's got that lovely blousy look without swamping my figure. I think when you're a pear-shaped figure, I'm always a bit concerned about wearing things that are too blousy, as it doesn't sort of balance out my curves and draw me in the right places. But I'm really, really pleased with the end result on this Anthea blouse, and I think I'm going to get a lot of wear out of this in the springtime. I'm really pleased with this make, and I also adore this colour on me. I've never sewn or worn anything in this rosy pink colour, but I think it's going to be a colour I look to make more garments in, as I really like it, and it makes me feel ready for the springtime. Now again, if you watched my weekend sewing video, you will know of the calamity that I had when I was sewing up my Nova coat. Now initially I planned to make it in a camel coloured wool that I bought from a closing down sale at C&H Fabrics, but when I was cutting it out, somehow I missed out cutting piece number 1, and obviously when I went back to try and get it out of what I had left, there wasn't enough fabric. So that was a bit of a disaster. However, I did manage to save it by colour blocking it, and I'll show you the end result here, and I'm really pleased with it actually. I think the colour blocking actually adds something to the coat, because I really think you see these beautiful style lines more clearly with the colour blockings. So I ended up cutting out piece number 1, which was this piece here from the navy wool coating, which I bought from Minerva. And then just to carry the line of the colour through and over this sleeve head here, I cut out these back pieces as well in the navy wool, and you just see the line goes around the side here, which I just think is so much fun. I'm really pleased with how those seams came out. They lined up really beautifully, which I was really pleased about. And I lined it with this Liberty Tana lawn that I'd had sitting in my stash for a long time. I had planned to make a dress for my daughter out of it, but I just thought the colours weren't quite right for a little girl, and I didn't want it languishing in my stash, so I decided to use it to line this coat with, as I actually think the colours go really well with the camel and the navy blue. I found this one to be such a delightful piece to make. It came together a lot more quickly than I thought. I have made a couple of coats before for my children. I have made the Afi coat by Below the Corfire Patterns, which is a beautiful winter coat for children. So do go and check that pattern out if you're looking to make a coat for your little people. And because I'd made that, I learned so much when I was making that about coat making, about working with boiled wool, which is what I used for those projects, and about bagging out coats. So I think making those made this process a lot easier, but I do have to say the instructions were great, they were very clear, and yet it came together surprisingly quickly. I really liked the finishing details in the pattern and the way the lining was sewn in. I just found that went in really neatly. And yes, the only thing I would say is that my facing here at the back is flipping out a little bit, so I think what I'm going to go and do is sew it in just down these lines here, just sew the facing down. You won't see those stitches on the final coat, but it'll just keep that facing from sort of coming up a wee bit when I'm wearing the coat. And I have worn that one quite a lot already. It was meant to be sort of more of a wearable toile, an extra layer for the spring, and it will be that, a wearable layer in the spring, but I've also been wearing it now as the weather starts to warm up a little bit, and to be honest I couldn't resist wearing it because it's just so much fun. I love the colour blocking and it goes with lots of my outfits, and so I've been really enjoying wearing that already, and I'm looking forward to wearing it as we continue into the warmer spring months, and then I'll put it aside ready for next winter. So that was my Nova coat by Papercut Patterns, which was the last make I have to share with you in this video. So I hope you enjoyed seeing those things I got made up in February. Just a few things this month, but like I said, they were makes that I wanted to take my time on, and really I enjoyed the process of them so much, and it was really nice to slow down, enjoy the process, and learn some new skills and techniques along the way. So do let me know which of those garments you liked the most. Let me know what you've sewn up this month. It's always nice to hear what garments you are sewing, and I do love having chats and conversations with you down in the comments, so do leave me a comment below if you would like to have a chat down there. I will list all of those garments and the fabrics that I used, if they're still available, in the description box below, so go and check that out if you're interested in any of these patterns or fabrics. And if you have enjoyed today's video, I would so appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a happy week ahead filled with lots of lovely sewing, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!